Welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind Group podcast. Here we're all about breaking free from the 40 to 50-year work grind and accelerating our journey towards financial freedom. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast-track your path to financial independence. We serve as a hub for connecting with fellow members during our sessions so you can share successes, ask questions, and keep the momentum going.
Good evening, everyone. This is Niyi Adewole, host of the Ekabo Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group, and I'm excited to be joining you on this Wednesday, January 22nd. And believe it or not, we are close to the end of the first month of the year. It happens that quickly. And so we're going to kick this open session off the way we kick all the open sessions off with a quote and then 3 questions that were asked this week that we helped answer. But I sincerely hope that you have set those New Year's resolution goals and that you are sticking to it so that you can achieve an amazing 2025. Before we jump into the quote and the questions, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube. Go ahead and like us on Apple Podcast. We're looking to grow our following and continue to bring on more guests and put on awesome shows for you. And so feel free to do that. We would really appreciate it. But the quote today is, many people miss out on opportunity because it shows up in overalls and looks like hard work. And this essentially is saying, don't be afraid of putting in the hard work. I think that nowadays there's so much technology out there that we can definitely work smarter than people used to back in the day where it was all just physical labor. But you definitely need to have that hard work with the smart work if you want to excel and get ahead of others and be at the top of whatever profession that you're in. One of the things, or one of the books that I read early on that truly had an impact on me is a book called Be So Great They Can't Ignore You, right? I forget exactly who the author is, but if you search that up, you'll be able to find them. And the premise of the book was getting to the top of whatever profession you're at, whatever position that you're at, become the best that you can be at that to where others cannot ignore the skill that you have. And it allows you to then leverage that to the next role and the next role and the next role. And you continue to have even more success. When you look at the 3 questions that we're answering today, one of them is something that's been a reoccurring question over the last 2 years or so, really since we began with the Ekabo Home team. And it's, I'm looking to invest outside of Georgia. Can you help? And I'm happy to say early in the new year of 2025 that the answer is a resounding yes. So over the last 6 months, the Ekabo Home team has been working to build out a network of investor-friendly realtors, not just in Georgia, but across the United States. And I'm happy to say that we have 30 of the 50 states covered now with investor-friendly realtors that we can refer you to while still taking on some of the responsibility of making sure that we're running numbers with you on the back end, analyzing deals alongside you once you find a couple, and they'll treat you through the same process that we take. And so I'm excited to be able to help not just people in Georgia, but also across the nation. If you're looking to get investments, reach out to the Ekabo Home team, reach out to me or any of the other team members, and we'll be able to help you, whether it's in Georgia or out of the state. Right now, we're in 30 of the 50 states, but the goal is to be in 50 of 50 by the end of the year, including the Alaskas and Hawaiis. Those are probably going to be the hardest, but we are in multiple states. How many days is typical for due diligence period? And so when you're looking at putting offers on properties, the due diligence period is that time frame where you can walk away from a property for any reason whatsoever. You can literally say, hey, it's snowing outside, I'm not really feeling it, and walk away and get your earnest money. And so typically due diligence is anywhere from 5 to 12 days, but it really depends on the type of offer you're putting in and how long the property's been listed. If it's a regular, long-term or short-term rental, the property's been on market less than 30 days, you typically want to be closer to that 5 to 7 day due diligence frame. If the property's been on market for 60 days plus, you can push it up to double digits, 10 days, 12 days, maybe even 14 if you got a good reason. When you look at going after flicks and flips or distressed properties of that nature, if the deal's good, you really got to be tight on your numbers, and due diligence can be as little as 0 days, right? A lot of the really, really good flip deals are 0 day due diligence. They're not messing around, but we've been able to get as high as 3 days, but it really just depends on the deal, how many people are looking and competing for that deal. And so to answer the question, 5 to 12 days is normal. Fix and flips are a lot less than that. If a home's been sitting on market for a long time, you can go a bit more than that. and kind of make it happen from there. And then advice for getting past analysis paralysis. Can't tell you how many people I talk to on a daily basis that have been hemming and hawing about getting into real estate for the past who knows how many years, right? Or months. And what helped me get past analysis paralysis, and also what helps us encourage our clients to get past analysis paralysis, is focusing on one step at a time. A lot of people try to see the full ladder or the full staircase that's disappearing up into the clouds without taking the first step. You have to take that first step so that you can see a little bit farther. And then you take the next step so you can see just a little bit farther. And that's how you start to avoid analysis paralysis, is putting one foot in front of the other, taking it one step at a time. And you'll be able to look up after you've taken several steps and realize, hey, I've actually accomplished the goal I was trying to achieve, which truly is incredible. And so again, tonight is going to be an open session, so feel free to join live. And Yvette, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I just battled to get into this slide.
Hey, come on now. You're doing it. Listen, the first time it was about 20 minutes in. This time it's like 2 minutes in. Like, that was pretty good.
I'm just clicking.
Hey, come on now. I know. That was perfect time. You entered right when I was finishing up the monologue. And so how did you make out in the snow? Did you get any of this? Because I heard parts of Georgia got it, other parts did not.
No, we got snow and the ice, all that. Cold.
Yeah.
Feel like I'm back in New England.
Yeah. The only difference is we don't have salt trucks or anybody clearing this stuff. So it's just gonna sit there. All right. You just gotta let the sun do its thing. Yeah. No, but it's always exciting. I'm happy that this week was not as much as 2 weeks ago, because that would have been terrible, because it's a lot colder this week. And so I got to see a little bit of that snow melt today. And so thankfully, I think the properties are safe as well from that standpoint.
Yes. I think, you guys got more in the Atlanta area than we did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially Southwest. We actually put a deal under contract today with an agent that is in the Sandy Springs area. Oh. And they were spared. They didn't really get anything. But South Atlanta, they got hit with a lot of snow. Right.
Because Mapleton didn't, they didn't get hit either.
See? Yeah, it's making me contemplate moving north. But aside from that, what's top of mind? You got anything top of mind today?
Oh, I just kind of dropped in to listen and see what was going on.
That is fair. And earlier on in this call, I was mentioning the network that we're building out of agents across the nation. And I can't stress this enough, right? We have a lot of clients that we've helped, and they've come back and we've worked with them on multiple deals. And then they want to continue expanding across the nation. And one of the hardest pieces there is you get used to working with a certain team, a certain flow of how things kind of work out. And so the premise behind starting to build this last year was being able to have a continuation, because we don't want to be there just for one deal with our clients. We want to be able to be there for the whole continuum of building out that portfolio, achieving generational wealth, maybe at some point investing alongside you and becoming partners, but ultimately helping you achieve your goal. And so Ekabo Home is looking to continue to expand and make these things happen.
Right. And I think, with the service that we provide and the team, we're able to do that. Just with all the knowledge and just making those friendships with people also, so that they're comfortable. It's the connection that you have.
Absolutely. And we are joined with our Director of Operations, Nas. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Not much. I love the fact that you rep in the Army. It's good, man.
Oh yeah, always. This is like a shirt that just goes with me everywhere.
Come on now. And one thing that comes to mind when you jump on, Nas, is the new property. I know you're excited to have a launch of a B&B. How's it coming? Do you mind giving everybody the update?
Yes. A lot of sweat equity went into this property. I got the chance to completely redesign both the floor plan and several other things with the property. Had a contractor that got me pretty far to the end. And then to save a little extra dollars, I decided to put in sweat equity myself and knock out the rest of the project.
Come on now. Nothing wrong with it. I'm excited to see the finished pictures, because you've done a heck of a lot to that triplex. And I'm going to pause for a second to say, Mark, how you doing, man? Where you been at? You've been avoiding us.
No, I haven't been avoiding. I just had other things on the calendar as
Ah,
well.
see, okay. I see how it is. I see how it is, man.
No,
No,
on
it's good to see you.
Wednesday we jump from meeting to meeting. I left the meeting early to get on here, so.
Come on now. We appreciate you and happy belated birthday, Mark. Now we told Yvette happy birthday and we gave her the love because that's how it should be. But Mark, happy second best birthday in the family.
All
All right,
right.
happy
Well, thank you. I
second.
appreciate that.
No problem.
I appreciate you.
Hey, come on now. No problem. No problem. But Nas, one of the things that we've talked about for a bit is, we were just talking about with Yvette, and I know I'm harping on this because this is the first time that we're actually rolling it out. I'm super excited about it. But the vision of rolling out across the nation and being able to have that continuum of working with the Cabo Home or other investor-friendly realtors to achieve your goals, not just here, but elsewhere. I can tell you that personally, I like two markets, right? Louisville, Kentucky, because that's where I started, and I have an investor-friendly realtor that helps get just pure cash flow deals, right? You can still hit the 1% rule, all that stuff. It's just not going to appreciate as much. And I like Atlanta because this is the backyard, and there's just so many businesses moving here that it just makes sense for the long run. But we have a whole team here that does the same thing. But what are you most excited about with this rollout, Nas?
Absolutely. I mean, going into different markets, markets that's not just the metro Atlanta, and advising our clients to give them the maximum returns that they're looking for. I love the Atlanta market, but there's a plethora of markets that we can tap into through our networks. And the good thing about working with the Ekabo Home team, obviously, we're investor friendly, so the people that we partner with are also investor friendly. And so one of the easy things I can think about that would make this advantageous is, we specialize in short-term rentals in the Atlanta market, but being that the Atlanta market and working in the short-term, arena can be a bit demanding unless you have a management team, which the Ekabo Home team does as well. But if you're not looking for that and you want something that's a little more passive, like long-term rent without doing the short-term route, going to like places next to colleges or places next to military installations allow you to get that passive income that you don't have to worry about the constant in and out of the home. You put them in and you let them long-term rent. And there's several areas and partnerships that we have in those areas that make that a viable option for people that want more of a passive stream.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Excited about it. I think this is going to be what takes it to the next level for our clients in 2025. And we hope to continue to build this thing out and revise it and make it better with your feedback, anybody that's out there listening as well. And Naz, I know you're huge on this, right? And so I'm going to kick it to you first, and then Yvette, I definitely want to get your thoughts on this, and Mark as well. There's been a lot that's happened this week. All right, we'd be remiss not to talk about the inauguration happening on Monday. I've been tuning into just different podcasts to try to understand some of the executive orders that were put into place, how that could potentially affect real estate investing, things of that nature. I know one of the pieces that's hit that's not necessarily real estate investing related, but I am first generation born in the U.S. And I saw one of the executive amendments was to try to eliminate the birthright piece where if you're born here, but you're not, like, things of that nature. And so with all that being said, Nas, anything that made headlines that was top of mind for you that could potentially affect real estate and or something in the business world?
Ooh, that is tough. So I have not gotten a chance to dive into everything that I want to try and unpack in Trump's, soon to be first 100 days of his presidency and what he plans on doing. But the one headline that I did see just in passing was NVIDIA had a surge. This is something that we thought was going to be in the pipeline for months as they announced that they'll be partnering with OpenAI. I don't exactly know where they are in that process, but just the fact that Trump talked about it, NVIDIA saw a surge and rally. I want to say it was a $6 rally earlier today, and it's expected to keep going up. It's the stock market. You know how that goes. If you rally too high, people pull their money out because they want to keep their returns. But to see that surge happen a day after the inauguration is definitely something to keep your eye on.
Absolutely. Yvette, Mark, anything to add to that or anything that you saw in recent days that's top of mind?
I think the whole immigration thing and, separating families and just people in general. As realtors, I mean, we're there to help people, whether, we're finding them a rental or, help to build wealth. I mean, those are people, those are individuals. So that's something that's kind of disheartening.
Absolutely. Mark?
I really don't have anything to add, but he talked about some of the incentives that we had from a DEI standpoint that are changing, and I don't know how that's going to now affect loans and banks for people, like us, um, if that's something that's not looked at. So we have to wait and see how these things are unpacked and how they get implemented by these different institutions and what they do about it as well. So a lot to see and kind of monitor as we go right now, but it's a big shift.
Absolutely. And one of the things that has kind of popped in the mind for me is twofold. One, when you look at the stock market in general, right, we're reaching levels that are unprecedented from how long it's been going up and to the right outside of COVID. Because COVID, I don't even know if you can count. COVID was a weird time period.
Yeah.
But outside of COVID, it's been up and to the right for a very long time. There's a lot of analysts out there that are saying the ratios aren't necessarily matching up for continuing to have a bull run. That being said, some of the policies that are being talked about are essentially introducing caffeine into somebody who's already been up for 24 hours, right? So hey, we're not going to go to sleep yet. We're going to give more caffeine, more Red Bull, and so at a certain point, I would believe that's going to come down. Maybe not during this 4-year period, but I don't know how long you can keep that going. So that's one thing to watch on. Taking potentially some profits out of that and making it happen from there. And then looking at real estate, which is what we're all in, what I've seen, at least over the past 2 to 3 years, call it 2 to 2.5 years, is that homes are still going up and to the right, but not as fast as they were a couple years ago. Thankfully, right? 2020, 2021 was nuts. And it was just like, 15, 20% gains. That should not happen either. Now it's getting back to normalization. And this is where it gets a little harder to make deals work as a real estate investor, but it's also where it allows it to pay off down the road because the market is more stable. There's less people talking about it. More people are like, hey, I'm going to go do Bitcoin. I'm going to go do all this other stuff. And when I see people start to shift and stop talking as much about this, I see that as an opportunity.
Man, there is a lot to unpack in what you just said. One, the other day, Trump announced this coin for 18 cents and it went to $70 in 24 hours. It was crazy. And I'm kicking myself like, man, I could have put just 1,000 on that and been well right now. That's one thing. The other thing, when you talk about the bull run market that we've been in, I was literally just doing some analytics on this the other day. It's been 15 years since the last real recession. They count COVID as a recession, but it wasn't for 2 quarters. And so it doesn't really fit the niche of a recession. Granted, the market was terrible, but it was unprecedented. Like last time something that big happened was like, I don't know, what the plague. But if you take COVID out of that box, we're talking about 15 years of growth, right? And so the last time we had growth that steady, that went that high, the recession was beyond anything we could imagine, right? And we went into a depression. And so as I think about that right now, this sounds terrible, but that's going to lead to a lot of opportunities, and it's going to suck. When an economy goes from a bull market to a bear market, expect people to lose a lot, and expect people to gain a lot. The goal though is to be on the gaining side. And so as that market shifts to a bear market, I think it'll be a really good thing to, one, invest in options, know how to strategize going down in that market. And then once that market bottoms out, switch to stocks, get as many blue chip stocks as you can, and take your gains and throw it back into real estate and ride that market all the way out. Because in order to stabilize, we already know the economy has to get moving again, and they're going to have to drop interest rates. And those interest rates, now granted, I don't think we're going to see 2% again, because that has rippling effects in the economy, but I highly anticipate seeing something between 4 and 5.5. and I can't wait.
Looking at the interest rates that we locked in at over the past couple of years, I hear you on that. It'd be good to be able to refinance all of us on this call. Like we're all looking at each other like, dang, man, I wish I could have, one of those 2021 interest rates. One thing that you mentioned that I want to call out as well, that's true, is, I mean, you could just look at the inauguration photos of who was sitting in front and you kind of see the wealth gap, right? Like you can see it right in front of you. And that's something that it's already been getting more extended, but I think a lot of analysts believe that's going to continue to widen, right? Even some of the policies that are getting put into place where taxes on a percentage basis are going to increase more for the lower tax brackets and increase less for the higher tax brackets. It's all coming to a head. And so to your point, you do want to be on the other side. And I think most of the people that are investing in real estate, whether you're just now getting started or you're a few years into it, you're well ahead of the curve. Because at worst, at least your property value should keep track with inflation so you're not losing money. And if you've invested well, you have it getting paid down by somebody else. So at worst, this is going to continue to grow while the dollar potentially gets weakened over time, which happens to most fiat currencies, right? And you can kind of be good from there on.
One thing I was trying to figure out on how to do the numbers on, which I don't necessarily know if the math I did makes sense, but I tried to average out the typical time that the country would be in a recession. And I came somewhere between 8 and 10 months. And worst case scenario, I started to think about, my rental units. And if I had tenants that couldn't pay, and if I had to kick that can down the road and I'm leveraging my own, money to keep the lights on, how long could I keep that going? And so at 8 to 10 months, and then you gotta, X that by how many properties you own. I started thinking like, how long can I weather that storm? And I came up with a good number. I'm pretty pleased with my number. But it is something that everyone should be considering, because that number is also the number or the funds I would use to invest in a bear market. So if I got to use those funds, I'm going to be pretty upset.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. And it's one of those where you should have some reserves aside. And on a monthly basis, I got good with this last year. Me and my wife, we actually sit down and do that spreadsheet. Naz, I don't remember if I sent this to you, but we have like that net worth spreadsheet and we update that. And one of the goals that we start to set each year is, okay, what do we want our net worth to be? And net worth includes everything. It's like assets, also liabilities, paying those down, whether it be, mortgage debts or whatever it is, right? Knocking those pieces out because it all kind of factors in that overall pie. And one thing I would say, right, that's super important is to have some way or some metric of tracking this. Some time set aside to actually look at what you're spending money on, because if you don't look at it for a few months or even years, you can all of a sudden see all these subscriptions and all this stuff. It's like, where's this money going? I need to actually redirect it toward investments or savings or something of that nature.
Yvette, I know you're feeling that burn, because I'm in tax prep right now, and I started looking at some of my reports. I said, wait, what was I buying? Yeah. Those subscriptions will get you, man.
Quickly. And to that point, Yvette, you are a CPA, right? And I'm still disappointed that you're not.
Yeah, you keep on calling me a CPA. No, I have my master's in taxation, corporate tax.
It's much more about taxes than we know. All right, that's all I know. All I know is you said something about taxes, and you've been doing this for a long time. I'm like, hold up, Yvette, help me.
It's a little bit different when you're dealing with corporate tax and you're dealing with the IRS, fighting with the auditor.
I don't know. That sounds even more impressive, because that means you were the person that catch people when they mess up. So if you're digging through the weeds, that means you can find something.
Well, no, when I first started my tax career, I was working for the IRS. I was actually in criminal investigations. So I was going out, investigating people. And then you get on the other side, it's a whole different story.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. Yeah. I always made it a goal in my life when I started investing in real estate and otherwise to not have to talk to the IRS one-on-one. So I've been successful so far. Haven't gotten any crazy letters in the mail. I'd almost rather overpay than underpay it on a year-to-year basis. I'd rather be safe.
100%. I would like for Yvette to be the closest thing to the IRS that I ever meet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to that point, it is tax season. I'm actually getting started on that stuff next week. I've been trying to push it off. I'm like, all right, let me just, but I've set aside like 2 days to actually start pulling all these documents from online because hopefully it'll be there by end of next week.
Right, by the end of the month, your statements should start rolling in.
Absolutely. This year, the goal is we're probably not going to make the April 15th, but the goal is to have it before the end of the first half of the year. Get it done and not worry about that piece.
Oh, you don't get it done by April 15th?
No, it's gotten complicated over the years, especially going full-time 1099, the whole real estate professional status, the syndicate, all this other stuff. It just all compounds on each other. And there's always like, hey, we need this document, which I completely forgot about. So thankfully, we have professionals helping us.
To that point, get your taxes in early this year, because if the market turns, if you do get something back, you want to be able to use it.
Hey, this is true. This is true. But to that point, this is we're coming up toward the end of the call. Anything else top of mind from Nas, Yvette, Mark?
I will say this. I am super excited to be going into 2025 on the Ekabo home team, especially when we talk about how the team is expanding and we have agents in our network like Yvette's, like Eric's, like Deanna's of the world. I'm not going to list the whole team, but it gets me excited to know that I'm on a team of shared mind or like-minded individuals that are getting after it.
Absolutely. Same here. I get excited. I get pumped up. It makes it funner, right? Because this could be kind of a lonely game. There's a lot of realtors that you'll talk to on the other side who are kind of solo, and you can hear the energy getting drained over time. With us, we all keep it light. We send a lot of memes into the group chat, and we get to all celebrate wins together. But no, definitely.
Yeah, and thank you for you both.
Come on now.
No sweat.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you guys for joining tonight. I hope that everybody stays warm and safe, and we will catch you a little bit later.
All right, y'all.
Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast track your path to financial independence.